Very good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Mick Mufc Realist TV. Why am I here? Well, of course, we are here to talk about yesterday's, let's say, a little bit of an earthquake that came out in the media and the press, and Twitter went mental to say Sheikh Jasssim going in for 11th hour bid, and that sends kind of shockwaves into terms of speculations. I'm here to talk about why I don't think it is correct, why it's not an 11th bid, but also to give a little bit of credit to Ben Jacobs, which is kind of one of the only journalists that kept it a little bit real by looking at two sides of the story and providing an educational platform similar to what we do, just comparing the apples to apples and providing not really factuals, but really like an education, what's going on in this process, why here, what, but not really pointing to who's going to win this race, right? So big up. I was listening to his spaces. I've been interacting with him on challenging the status quo on the Twitter, like as you're supposed to do. But I'm also here to compare, like, these two bidders, what's on the table at the moment, and why is it taking so long time, and what is the deciding factor. We have to also emulate from a glazer's perspective what bid they will actually choose, according to my opinion as well. But we're also here to talk about the overall transfer budget, how this will be affecting or not affecting the overall transfer market in the summer here. So let's do this. Let's have a sip on our coffees. Let's enjoy and be back in 10 seconds. Yet again, good afternoon. I hope you enjoyed that 10 seconds break. But you know what? Everything transpired yesterday. I was in a live show doing my live podcast. People were just exploding in the chat line to say, oh my God, there's 11th hour bid coming from Sheikh Jassim. It's gamemanship, of course, it is gamemanship, because now it's something called competitive advantages, like, what's being playing out. We're definitely coming to a decision time by the Glazers. What we're seeing here is very, very unusual when you have two exclusive bidders going toe-to-toe with each other, being played out right in front of our eyes. On the other hand, you have Sheikh Jassim and the 92 Holding Foundation Group, and the other one is, as we know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. So basically this transpired yesterday, and what I wanted to do, of course, is to respond back to Ben Jacobs and everyone that was involved in this tweet, just say to put a little bit extra nuance and challenge the status quo, why I think this is not correct. So bear with me. Let's go dive into the tweet, because it came out yesterday, about 18 hours ago, though, by United Plug, and also confirmed by Ben Jacobs to say, although 92 Foundation latest offer has not been disclosed, my understanding is, according to what Ben Jacobs is saying, it's about 7 billion, right? Reaching about $5.6 billion in all inclusive of the pledge. I mean, all in, inclusive of the pledge investment. That's not really correct, right? Because I want to explain to you why. Bids are placed in dollars as this is the process. Correct. But then I kind of went on to say, listen, guys, hasn't this always been the case? The second bid was always around 7 billion US dollars. Which was widely reporting, even the second bid that went in. So why is it the same figure reporting over again? Question mark. Why are you not talking about this? This is the negotiation of the final earnout clause and balance adjustment. Or do you see just an improved 11th hour bid? And this is where we kind of ended up and having a sort of a little bit of backtracking, that he went on to say, remember April 28th, which was the deadline for the second bid. The confusion was around multiple sources saying circa 5 billion final offer, which is inclusive of 800 million in pledges investments rather on top, yada, 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 yada. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what we are missing the point here is the following. I will add this to the stream. It is absolutely the following. We are absolutely down to this point which we are discussing the earnout clause, right? If you see the second point, bullet point from the end, which is pretty much the closing of the transaction, signing and closing the deals. This is what happens pretty much. Well, let me just pull it up in terms of what I think, right? What I think is following. We have to compare apples to apples. On the other hand, we have Ineos, and the way they kind of structure the deal is to go in on, let's say, you have 69% of the shares owned by the Glazer family. What he's done is pretty much astute and smart. He has offered 51%, right? That means that he takes full control of the club, the majority of votes, pretty much, and he's left about 18% to Joel and Avram. That means that he's buying over all the shares, right? So that means he's buying out like the four siblings. Joel and Avram gets a little bit share of that price, but they get to stay on the 18% with no voting power. And on top of that, that is kind of a premium that he throw back to the Glazers and Rainy Group to say, you tell me what the premium will be, and then within 3 years, 4 years time, we will put in the clause that we can buy you out on that price. So what does mean? Okay, just take an example, right? Like if a share price is worth about 26 US dollars, what he has done here is to offer a premium. Maybe he's buying the club on 30, right? He's evaluated that club, right? But what he does as well to say to the Glazer family, Joel and Avram, to say, you tell me what your price will be if I'm going to buy you out. It's very simple, right? But that means that the 31% will still be floating out to the public. So anyone could acquire those shares, you know? And that to me is pretty much to say, look, I cannot afford to buy the whole club right now. I want full control, but I'm willing to pay you half now and half within 3-4 years. But you tell me how that deal will be looking like. And this is, according to my opinion, taking a lot of time, right? This is what it's been confusing because Rain Group has been going back and forward with solicitors of Ineos, and they, in this certain degree, have been confident since you have direct engagement. Talking about what about this? How's that going to look like? What I don't know, but it is complicated, and this is going to take a lot of time. There's red tapes in that as well. I just want to mention that it's very complicated, and even if this goes through, the 31% of the public shares, like the retail shares, and some of the major investments that hold that can actually object to this takeover and challenge it. And even if they do so, they have to start over over again. So I don't see, like, in a way, like you're offering credit, right? And what you do there, Ineos, as well, that you're also clearing the debt by putting bankrolling to Ineos, and then you have to take another debt to actually work on the infrastructure, meaning upgrading Carrington, upgrading Old Trafford, or building new stadium. So for me, that is just basically buying up the shares, putting on a premium, but then taking loans. And in a year's time, that has to come out from the club sooner or later. And this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. But this has kind of been an astute move and clever move. I must give it to Sir Jim Ratcliffe in doing so, because basically he's not going out full 100%. He's going half of his pocket, and then an installment plan 3 years later to buy the rest. But here's the thing, right? Here's what I wanted to take. On the other hand, you have Sheikh Jasssim, right? He's going on 100%. And this is where we talk about valuation, 100%, right? That means that you're buying out the 69%, but you also have to buy the remaining, 31 shares out on the market, right? It is very simple. So I want to go back into this debate. So what does it really mean? I will minimize myself here again and go back to my debate, right? So it's very interesting. So I'm basically saying to Ben here, and I was in his space today and listening. So I'm glad to see that you're actually practicing, not male practicing journalism. You're actually looking at the two sides and let the readers decide. But at the end of the day, I acknowledge that this is the way to do it. But just to put into perspective, I tweeted back, and And this is a case study. This is absolutely a case study that I want to share with you. You know, just put things easy into perspective, guys. When you talk about the 11th hour bid, it's the overall evaluation we're talking about. It's A, the earner clause and the marginal adjustments to buy out the Glazers, which is the 69% shares of Manchester United in terms of valuation, adding on a premium above the share price that the Glazers will accept. This is what they negotiate. It's the marginal adjustments. Now, MB here also. This also applies to Sheikh Jassim's case, who wants to buy 100% control, is also to buy out the minority shareholders to a fair price, premium price that is acceptable. Everyone has to agree. But in this case, we're talking about the Glazers. How much will they walk away with? The evaluation can be compared to simply when Elon Musk tried to buy Twitter. You have an example here on the April 14th. You have a timeline here. Simple as that. Musk offered to buy Twitter on a share price, on premium price, on $54.20 per share, right? He didn't have to do that. He overpaid, right? This was evaluating the company at the end of the day, like on $43 billion. This is according to Bloomberg files. So the offer amounts is about 38% premium above where the price stood at the day. So Musk investments in Twitter became public at the end of the day, but this is going back to the moment where we are now. This is kind of the tweaks. What is the earnout clause going to be, right? Marginal adjustments, people, marginal adjustments. So basically, to put it back in layman's terms, right? Just think about it. Just put it easier, right? All what they're asking for, is simply for Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's camp or Ineos to explain the earnouts. So it will be to everyone's satisfaction. Ineos bid, as alluded before, have made them a little bit confused, and it does not guarantee cash. We're talking about cash. In this current financial market and situation where the S&P and stock market is down spiraling and nobody really knows where it's going to pick up or hit its resets. So if you ask me, cash is liquidity. Credits and interest rates are down spiraling. You don't know within 3 years' time, you're taking a risk. If you ask me, in layman's term, if you had this bid, Sir Jim Ratcliffe offering, here's a little bit of money now, and perhaps within 3-4 years, what you have here in investment will grow. This is a risk. This is what's confusing the Glazers, because they're not stupid. They're following the markets. And right now we're seeing temporary spike in the price. But when you buy Manchester United share, eventually that share price is going to drop down, as what is done with Twitter. So if you ask me what I think Glazers will do, I think they will go for the cash, because there's one thing Glazers do. They will always follow the money. And right now, if you look at the overall package, the sweetener of the deal, according to my opinion, is basically to say, you know what, Joel and Abram, you can stay here on 18%. That is the sweetener. But we cannot really guarantee that within 3 years that your seeds that we gave you will grow up to a full garden, you know. But that's just why they put in a premium in place that, hey, if we do sell, what's going to cost me to buy you out 3 years down the track? Will it be $35 per share? This is what we don't know. And this is what nobody knows. But we know that Sheikh Jassim has offered 100% full sell, totally buy out all the siblings to Glazers, and offered contingency business to do post the sell, to open up the doors to Qatar, to collaborate with beIN Sports, to do the NBA, you know, NBAs and basketball and AFL football league, because that's Qatar wants to do contingency sports. They're building up, a franchise to do like American football, where the AFL teams will come and play in Qatar, and where Glazers can have, exclusive rights with beIN Sports to broadcast in America. This deal is far more valued, billions in the making, than keeping Joel and Avram in place. I hope this makes sense, people. I'm just trying to provide some perspective into it. That's all I'm trying to do. In terms of why I'm thinking it's not an improve, it is basically what I said. It's a marginal improvements. They might be missing, where you're sitting there with directly talking to Joel and Avram, or Rainy Group, and they say, listen, we're happy with this, but what about this? Can you improve a little bit here? Can we tweak a little bit there? Because it comes down to, how much money do we walk away with? It is simple mathematics. The rest is the shadow bidding process is coming to an end. They have to agree a sale very, very soon. Now, a lot of people is asking as well, what about the transfer market? How can we move in the transfer market currently when we have no money? Here's a little bit interesting fact, right? Which is not being spoken very much, because part of this as well, in terms of these negotiations, is Bank of America. Now, Bank of America owns the overall debt of Manchester United in terms of bonds, if you know what I mean. So Bank of America is part there with Rainy Group and everyone else in terms of Rothschild's Bank and everyone. So it is quite simple. You remember in January window, there was about 100 million pledged to 200 million in overdraft that could be used by Bank of America. Yet again, it's another loan, but with a guarantee with Champions League football, if we make fourth place and get Champions football, Bank of America has also looked at it from a risk perspective to say, look, I know you're in a sales process. Whoever comes in, we can provide you this shield. We can give you 200 in credit rolls, put it in a bank account. Once you're taking over the club, you will pay us back this money. We will be part of the sales price. Simple as that. And another thing is also that nobody's talking about is that we need to offload players. There's at least 10 players that will be offloading, first before you clear the FFP and everything. And that's going to be a maximum exodus, what everyone is talking about. So there, let's just take this simple equation, right? Let's say you take 100 million in overdraft, right, that you can utilize. That's not a lot. But if you can generate another 150 million in sales, which you can most likely do 100, there's your spending, right? If you come in as a new owner, I don't think you will blast straight away like Chelsea did. That's not responsible ownership. Just look at Newcastle. Slowly, slowly, slowly build the squad, because you have to think about FFP, right? And let everything catch up within 3 years' time. If you go all in now, like Chelsea did in the summer, you have nothing to spend in the January window or summer window. So I hope this really helps people. I really hope. And do I feel giddy, giddy right now? Yeah, I do, because the end is coming. It is inevitable. It is inevitable, people, right? When they will announce it, I have my theory. I think they will, barring that we're seeing right now, that, Abram Glazer, Joel Glazer, everyone is there in town talking right now, fine tweaking the bid. I don't think it's will go to exclusivity bidder. I just will be right. We will happily accept your bid. This is what we will take. Close it off, basically. Close it off, move on. That's what we want to do. So that comes down to the closing of transaction. But when they will announce it, I have my theory, and this is just my theory, but I want you to know your opinion about this. I don't think that even if they close it off this week, I don't think they will announce it, for a simple reason. You know, first and foremost, we know that the social media engagement creates a lot of attention and money generation in terms of clicks and likes and all that stuff. Second of part, what I think why they will not announce it until the season is over is because they don't want to disrupt you know the season. They want to get into the Champions League. That means a lot in terms of how you can move in the transfer market. They want to also see it out to if we win the FA Cup. So most likely, I think they will announce it after the FA Cup. That's what I think. But that doesn't mean that the deal and transaction can have been closed on Friday if it happens on Thursday and Friday, but it will just not be announced. That is my thoughts. That is my analysis. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but this is the way I see it. Guys, let me know what your thoughts and feelings are. Just happy to provide you another alternative view, the way I see it. as what media is not really telling you or explaining, because all you read is headlines, and when you read this story, it is just spinning you dizzy. I hope this podcast helps, and I hope that we will come to a conclusion. Smash a like, it's free. The only thing that we care about here, we don't take any dividends, but we do appreciate your likes. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so too. This has been Mick Ruby from Mufc Realist TV. If we hear anything in the near couple of hours or days, of course, we will provide you the update. But please stay beautiful and be nice to each other on the social. Bye for now. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching Mufc Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.